your house, or a fire could burn you to the ground. You think all those millionaires thought about the houses burning down with them? Well, there's what, 200 people missing? Could be a lot more now. And hundreds of homeless right now, and all that kind of stuff. We had the things going on the other island where they had the flood. All these countries are going through it. You think we're spiritual people? Who's going to help people? Who helps the people? How much can we help the people? The United States will go into bankruptcy because of that. And so will some countries. The amount of money it's going to take to fix these things and feed these people and everything else is humongous. But the part of that, it keeps growing every day. These have been the worst fires. And you know what fires mean when they still talk about weather and everything else, global warming, and it's real as it gets. But you do have to add fire into that. I mean, fires are usually created by nature, usually. But here and there, a match gets thrown, a cigarette gets thrown, and there's a giant fire. Now, this fire, the one of them, there was, 6 going on right now? The one, they said, the electric company called parts of the town saying they have an electric problem, and then the town was on fire the next day. So are they ever going to admit to that again? I doubt it. But what I'm trying to say, this fire that burns, the fires that have burned this year, are going to produce the worst weather we ever had next year. If you know anything, which I'm sure you don't know this because scientists don't talk about it, the ozone has shrunk just for a scenario of width and dimension. It was a mile long at one time. It's down to a couple inches. That's how much it deteriorated in the past couple hundred years. So we destroyed that. And like the holes that are in it are allowing the radioactive materials and everything else to come through to the planet. Australia is being bombarded because they got the biggest hole on the whole planet over them. But that has to do with life. And it also has to do with death. Both of them are happening at the same time. I mean, there's 150,000 people dying every day. They're saying 100,000 are due to medical problems, sickness, and stuff. And the other 50,000 is probably drinking cars and all kinds of other scenarios. But there's 350,000 being born every day. Do you think these ignorant people understand what's happening to the planet and want to bring more children into it? Does that show you spiritual people? Is that spiritual? I mean, countries where they don't have protection, well, they're still having sex, aren't they? How's that? We've got no money, but let's have sex and produce a child. We have no food. Let's have another child. If they were living in the United States and they used to get money per child, yeah, that was what people in Jersey City did. They had 4 or 5 children and they got that much more money every month, and then they would buy drugs. I worked in the ghettos for years. I know what it's like going in these people's houses and what they do and what they have. I mean, they were pushing drugs on me anytime I walked in the house. While their child was walking around naked or tied to a bed or in different things. It's horrible. And we say we're spiritual? Who is? Name one person that's spiritual, meaning they understand God. Conversations with God, God doesn't talk to nobody, has no reason to. You'd think controlling 12 dimensions, which each have 3 dimensions in them, the higher worlds and lower worlds, and then all the universes and galaxies within that, all the other beings and creatures and entities that live within them, and it has to come down to planet Earth to talk to Joe Schmo. Hey, Joe Schmo, tell everybody God loves them, that if they think about love, the world will change. You think God's mission is that simple? And that's what God talks about? Jesus did not talk about that. And I'm sorry, people. I was there. You don't have to believe it. I was alive in that lifetime, aware of it. And I was a female. Mary Magdalene was the most spiritual woman to ever walk this planet. You don't hear that in religion. But the Bible says so. If you're a Christian and you listen to this show, read it. Mary Magdalene had to teach Peter what Jesus was teaching. If you believe it was love, what's that mean? That she had sex with him to teach him what love was? Ignorance about that. Mary Magdalene had Jesus' powers, and she had to teach him how to use them. She was the only woman that was at that spot ever in our history. I mean, Joan of Arc was considered a very spiritual and incredible person, a great warrior. But being able to do things and stuff like Jesus did, yeah, there's stories about magicians and powerful beings and different things, but it's the most recognized story on the planet. But it's still a lie, what people know about it. The truth isn't there. Jesus spent all this time teaching people about love. How do you teach a person about love? Showing him, I love him. See, I'm telling him I love him. I'm kissing him because I'm telling him I love him. What else can you teach about love? It's a natural feeling that has to happen within two people, or a person and an animal, or a person and something else. And it's that experience that helps them understand that part of that definition of that. And that's only a small reflection of what love really means. Love has nothing to do with planet Earth. Sorry to tell you that, people. There's only one true love, which isn't true on planet Earth. The true love of God. If you don't know God, you can't say you love it. You can't say you love something you don't know what it is. It's a dream. It's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. You love your husband. You love your child for a reason. When are people going to start looking and trying to find the truth? The truth is there. It's behind everything. If you're willing to split open the door, cut down the wall, however you want to look at it, it's there. But are you ready to take that step and move into it? Are you ready to let go of the garbage that you have in your brain? I doubt it. So, we don't want to spend infinity with our family in heaven. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying about it. Did you ever write down something that we did spiritual? That's making the world a more spiritual place? Think about it. We give food to some countries for temporary reasons while they starve to death and die. We do a little help here and there. We never solve a problem. They don't solve a disease or a sickness. Sure, here and there, one or two people get healed, cured. The hepatitis C cure was helping a lot of people. But did they make it easy for people to get it? $70,000? Is $1,000 a pill? Do you think that's rational? I'm serious. That's a price. My partner had to go through it. My best friend had to go through it. But think about the price and the money that's ridiculous, and somebody's going to pay it. Whether it's you or your medical company. But somebody's going to pay that bill. What do you think is important? Again, I ask you that. Did you come up with an idea, solution, and food, sex? What's important? So, let's name something really important. Where do you go when you die? I'm sure you heard the word. It's called the astral plane. Astral plane. Everybody has an astral body. We have a body here. I say it's a soul body, but it's the same body that moves into the astral body. The astral body is kind of like the body that you use to get around on the astral plane. The same as this physical body is what we use to get around on the physical plane. That's pretty much as simple as I can make that statement. The astral plane is incredible compared to planet Earth in some ways. But most souls go there. But some do not. The ones that do not, you can call a ghost or spirit that stay here. They got no protection. They got no guidance. And they don't leave the lower realm, planet Earth. Give me one split second. Soul goes there, in most cases. What do you think happens when you get there? What do you think you expect to see? Oh, it depends on what religion you were programmed to believe happens when you get there. If you're spiritual, you say, well, I go there and I choose a body to come back. No, you don't. Whoever told you that? Where'd you get the idea from? People make things up, and they tell other people, and other people accept it. You get judged by spirit itself. It's an entity within a form, and it's based on karma. I know people don't like that word. Cause and effect. What you create, you have to pay back. Good or bad. But truthfully, people don't know the difference or how to make something good or bad, what it really means. Assuming if you give food to other people that are starving, assuming if somebody falls down, you pick them up, you're creating good karma. Bad karma is when you kick somebody and they fall down, and then you kick them again. So that's probably man's definition of good and bad for karma. Well, what you do in life is karma. What kind of a job you have in life is karma. Your karma. You can do things that help people. You can do things that hurt people. Sure, a bartender is hurting people. A cook's just in the middle, in between. There's middle points where it'd be like a karmaless state. Except bad things went on in school. When I was in school, kids did stuff to the food and things like that. So, I looked in a Chinese restaurant, what they do, letting the food, dirt fall in the food and stir it in and everything. You can watch things. And those little things create multiple levels of karma. But again, it's what do you do being a plumber? You know, when a person's toilet stopped up, which I mentioned, nobody's going to be wanted or needed more so than a plumber or a roto-rooter guy. Because that person's going to eliminate a problem that's the most gross problem that you have or will ever have in your house. And it's important in the moment. So, was the roto-rooter guy doing a good or bad thing? He's the one that gets stuck dealing with you-know-what and everything else. And it's filthy, dirty, scuzzy. I've been there. I was a plumber for 10 years. So yeah, I know what it's like. It's horrible. And you think it's karmaless? I was in houses in the winter in Jersey, and when a family's boiler breaks in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the night, it means they have no heat. You go there the next day and say, well, you got to replace your boiler, your heating system. It doesn't happen in 5 minutes. So this family has to go through maybe 2 days with no heat. So we usually rented a heater and let them have a heater in the house while we were working and things. You do the best you can. That's like trying to create a karmaless state. Some people don't care. We'll be back next week. I was a plumber. I didn't want to do work on Christmas. My pipe had a problem. I called 3 companies. Oh, we can't come out. We can't come out. Okay. I said, oh, well, I guess I got to fix it myself, which I did. But, what about a family that can't? 24 hours, day or night, call them. Oh, well, we can't come out. We're too busy. I worked for the phone company. They said they couldn't come out, and they told people they could. And it's just lies on top of lies on stories. But where is the karma being created? Just about everywhere. So to think about death, you need to think about how much karma you're creating before you get to that point. Like I said, you can walk out tomorrow and something falls on you and kills you. At that point, creating karma here stops. But you got your bank of what's in there, good or bad stuff, that you got to pay or whatever. Hopefully you're managing to pay it off and work it out. But you have to believe that you're going to do that and learn how to do that. Just saying, well, I'm sure I did it. Well, It's not that simple.